Okay, I think I'm good to go here. Double check everything. Yeah, I have active the mic. It's all good. I just fueled up. I had to take a day off of doing things to get ready to move, which I've got plenty of time to get ready to move, like months. But I have to make my monthly trip to Wichita Falls today. And I go down there to pick up a prescription that is compounded for me down there that I can't get any closer, I guess. So it's either pay $60 to have them ship it to me, or drive down once a month and spend about $30 doing that and get a little bit of different scenery too. So I'm not opposed to driving a little bit just cause. So anyway, that's where we're headed. We're headed to Wichita Falls, Texas. I'm on Highway 81 on the south side of Marlow right now. I've already dropped off some packages at the post office for my eBay sales, which have been going pretty well. But I actually had some events occur in the past couple of days that are going to help me to be able to move a little easier. I finally got to tie up some loose ends that I've been trying to tie up for a long time, for months. And what happened yesterday was kind of miraculous to me. I've had Bill's work truck up for sale for months, like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months. Right after he died, my sister and I took all the heat and air parts out of it and put them in the barn, one of the barns. And we just cleaned the truck out because I knew I was going to have to sell it. I don't have any use for it. I wasn't having any intention of using it because it's too big of a vehicle, nothing that I would use for just normal stuff. It's a commercial setup truck. So I had it up for sale for months, and I had one guy I thought was going to buy it several months ago, and then he went as far as to tell me he was going to come pick it up the next day, and then he ghosted me. So I figured he didn't have the money, it's whatever. I don't hold it against him. It's just like, okay, so that one didn't go through. And then I had a couple of other people interested in it who also couldn't get the money. And finally I had this one guy really interested in it who couldn't get the money right away, but he kept trying, and he finally got the money. And at the same time, like the same day, I got a call about the tractor that I had also had up for sale for months, because I knew there was no point in keeping the little tractor with the brush hog on it because I'm not going to run it. The only thing I'm going to run out there is the mower, and I don't need a tractor with a brush hog. It's just overkill, and I had no interest in using it. So I had it up for sale for months, and a guy called out of the blue. Well, not out of the blue, because I had it up on Marketplace. But he was interested in it, and he sent out a guy to look at it, and they bought it on the spot. So I was like, cool. So the next day they came out, which was yesterday, they came out and loaded this tractor up and hauled it off. And while they were looking at that, they were also looking at the old backhoe. And this old backhoe, it's a good backhoe, but it's got some issues because Bill he wasn't great on maintenance the last few years. He just didn't feel like doing the stuff that he would have done normally. So it kind of sat for a long time. So there were some issues with it. But I got a call last night, the same guy that bought the trailer or the tractor, he wanted to buy the backhoe. And he gave me what I think was a fair price on it. So I agreed, and so they'll come out and get it probably either tomorrow or next week sometime. I told them I've got to run down to Texas today. So, but they knew that yesterday because I told them I could go to Texas either yesterday or today, depending on what they wanted to do. And I assumed that they would want to pick up the trailer or the tractor. I keep saying trailer. They would want to pick up that tractor as soon as possible because they had paid for it already. So, and they did. So while they were out there looking at that and the backhoe, this guy also bought some other stuff off of me. What's this guy? Hey, people. He also bought some other stuff off of me, just stuff that's sitting out in the scrapyard, basically. A couple of propane tanks, and then the forks that used to be on the Bill used on the backhoe occasionally. A couple of like forklift forks. So he bought that stuff. So they're going to come back out and do that. The greatest part of this, I mean, that was all miraculous to me anyway. And they actually got the backhoe running and moved it so that it was staged so that it could be easily driven up onto a trailer. I mean, it's got carburetor problems and stuff, but they got it running out enough to move it. So they know they can drive it up on the trailer. But what was most amazing to me is one of the guys, the guy that's helping the guy who actually bought the stuff, I guess he's like an employee or, helps him out. He's going to come back out and haul off all the scrap air conditioning stuff. He's got a friend who does that. So they're going to come out and take all that stuff away. And I'm just plumb tickled that they're going to do that because the junkyard never called me back. So I guess they're not interested. And I had talked to the junkyard like last Friday, and the lady I talked to said, well, send me pictures of everything you got so he's got an idea what you're talking about. So I did. And then I got nothing back out of them. Now, granted, they may just be busy. But I've also heard that steel's not bringing a lot of money right now, so maybe they're just not that motivated to come get that stuff. But this other guy is. So, heck yeah. If I can get all that cleaned up, that's going to go a long way toward making the place presentable to put on the market. I mean, it's got to be done. I'm not going to put it on the market with a junkyard behind the well house. I'm just not going to do that. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. I don't want people to get the impression that it hasn't been taken care of or that it was used as a trash heap, So these things are actually happening and have been happening all week. So I haven't actually gone out to the barn to start sorting anything yet because I've been handling all this other stuff. So the next video that I make will be going out in the barn and starting to put my tools together, the tools I'm going to need going forward. I'm going to build my toolkits, and then everything else that I don't want, I've got a couple of ideas about who needs to get some of the extra stuff, and then everything that's left over is just going to get sold in an estate sale, which is going to happen hopefully in the spring. I talked to the estate sale company that I like, and I like them because they don't gouge on the pricing. They sell stuff. I mean, they get it sold, and they don't sell it too cheap, but they don't try and price it like new either. And some of the estate sale companies around here are really, they overprice everything. I get where they're coming from. They're trying to make a lot of money on it because I think they work as a percentage. It's probably like 35% or something. I think that's what somebody told me once. That may or may not be accurate. I'll find out though sometime this week. The company I messaged is prepping for a sale for this week. I think it starts either today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow. So they're pretty busy, but once they get through that, then they'll get back with me, and we'll see about when I can get this on the calendar. So things are progressing. It's just behind the scenes. It's like stuff that I can't really, put in a video. I guess I could have asked these guys if they didn't mind me videoing them, but I don't want to really do that to people. I just didn't let them do their thing and, get what they came out there to get without having to be hounded. And by the same token, I keep the dogs in the house because I don't want them hounding people while they're trying to work. But, I mean, just kind of the concept of if somebody's willing to do something for me, I'm not going to ask them for extra. You know what I mean? And these are things that they offered. This isn't like, oh, I didn't beg them to do this or that. They presented it like, well, you know, we could maybe do this or we could maybe do that. Oh, that'd be all right. So they offered, which I think is fantastic. So somebody's watching out for me and helping me get through some of this. And I'm really super happy about it. Now I've got a couple of negatives that I've got to deal with. I backed into my niece's truck over Thanksgiving, my niece and nephew, their truck with the Jeep. And I dented the hell out of my Jeep. And it pisses me off. I dented the back lift gate. I mean, it's not horrible. I didn't just destroy it, but I dented it pretty good. But I knocked a piece of plastic off underneath their bumper. And, you know, of course, I went and told him, I told my nephew, I'm like, I ran into that. You know, just let me know what it's going to be to fix it. So I got a message last night from my niece, and she said they're taking it in for an estimate today. So that's something I got to get done. I've got to get that taken care of. And then the other negative I've got to take care of, I've totally lost my train of thought on it. Maybe it's just one negative. I guess that's it. I guess it's just one negative, unless there's something else I'm just, you know, willfully forgetting about, which could be too, because I don't like dealing with negative shit. But so I guess it's just the one negative. So once I get that handled, that'll be good. That'll be done. I did let her know this morning. She had messaged me last night, and I was like, okay, well, you know, let me know and I'll cut you a check. And I got thinking about it this morning. So, you know, you might let the shop know if it makes any difference. I'm not going to turn this into the insurance unless it's like an extensive bill. So, you know, if they've got different rates for cash versus insurance, that would be something to, I guess, ask. I don't know if that's something they do, but I know some places do. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's just one of those stupid things. He pulled in and parked behind me, and I didn't look when I left. It was dark, and I just wasn't paying attention. I can't even blame it on him or anybody or anything else. I flat out didn't pay attention, and I backed right into it. Like, dumbass move. But you know what? Sometimes you just do dumb things. I mean, well, I do anyway. I don't know about you, but yeah. So anyway, now I get to pay the piper for my dumbass move. But you know, as long as they can get it fixed and they'll be happy with it, that's good. Because you know, I broke it. I need to fix it. Just no denying that. But I'd rather not get my insurance jacked up by having to turn it over to them. I'd rather just take care of it if it's not going to be crazy expensive. So we'll see. I know body work is super expensive, but it's just a plastic panel under a bumper. So I don't know. Maybe it won't be too bad. It's going to hurt, but maybe it won't hurt too much. I don't know. Just have to wait and see. Maybe I'll know later today. So. But anyway. So I've been looking at available homes in the town I want to go to, in Craig, the town I want to go to. It's basically my adopted hometown. Yep, I wasn't born there, but I spent most of my time living there. Of all the places I've lived, I lived there longest, I think. Well, I may have, no, I've lived here longest now, but that's where the main part of my family's at, and where I consider home anyway. So I've been looking at what's available for sale, and it's pretty sparse. I mean, everything is super expensive up there. It's a very expensive place to buy property, even though the prices have come down a little bit recently on some stuff. So there are a couple of fixer-uppers I'm looking at. If it's nothing structural, I'm good with fixing up, because I can paint and trim and do all that stuff. I'm still able to do all that. So I don't mind doing that, but I don't want to do any structural stuff, obviously. So when the time comes, I'm going to have to, find something to move into. And what's on the market right now probably won't be the same thing that's on the market once I get this sold and I'm actually ready to buy something else. So I'm just kind of testing the waters. I'm not, and I don't have like a dream home idea. I want something solid, good bones, and not super expensive, preferably, because I don't have unlimited funds. And I don't want to have to take out a loan. I refuse to take out a loan. At my age, it's stupid to take out a loan. So those are my main criteria. The other things I'm thinking about, I would like to have a lot that's big enough. Now I'm talking about moving into town, because unless there's some miracle that happens and I find some perfect spot, like on a small acreage on the edge of town or something, which up there is pretty much non-existent. Unless I were to find something like that, I'm looking at living in town. And I don't want to live out of town very far up there, because I don't want to have to plow snow and do all that other stuff. It's a totally different environment than here. So I want to be where all the services are and be close to, family when they're in town. So I need to find a lot, if I can, that's big enough for me to park my travel trailer, both vehicles, and hopefully my 20-foot flat trailer. Because I would like to keep that trailer if I can. If I can't, if I won't have a place to park it, I'll just sell it. But that's like my outdoor wish list for space. And the other thing about it is, it would be nice if it has already a securely fenced yard, so that the dogs would be, contained. Because I've got country dogs. They're not city dogs. They've never lived in town. They have no concept of any of that. So I'm going to have to be super careful with them and keep them well contained, especially until they get familiar with all the new surroundings and stuff. It's going to be a totally different world for those guys up there. So those are my main outdoor considerations. I'd like a garage. That would be nice. And I would really seriously like to get something that's not real super tiny. I've looked at a couple of places that are on the market now, which obviously probably won't be by the time I get up there. But they're much smaller than what I'm in now, so I'm going to have to downsize quite a bit, I figure. I'm going to have to get rid of a bunch of furniture and stuff. That'll happen during the estate sale. And I'm going to have to whittle it down considerably. If I'm going from 1,400 square feet to 900 or 700 square feet, that's a lot of storage space lost. So I'm really going to have to get kind of brutal about what I decide not to take. So just these kind of considerations. All this stuff's been going through my mind. Do I want to move? Do I want to go through all this misery? No, I really don't. But I don't want to be lonely and isolated for the rest of my life. Worse. That's worse to me than moving and giving up the farm. I'm just not, I don't want to be isolated. And it's just how it is. Everybody here's busy. They're not blood kin to me. So it's just not the same. I love them, but it's just not the same. So anyway. So that's where I'm at on that front. So I've whittled down a couple of things that I don't have to worry about now. So the tractor, Bill's work truck, and the backhoe, they're all gone, or will be in the next few days. The junk heap in the back will be all gone in a few days. And then the only things I have to worry about getting out of there are some big pieces of tube steel if these guys don't want it. And if they want it, they can have it. And then, I'm not sure what it is, some kind of a frame for a commercial air conditioner or something. I'm not sure. It's stacked out on another fence line, and I have no idea actually what it is, but that's kind of what it looks like. I don't know. Bill had all kinds of stuff that I have no clue. I just don't know. All I know is it's not doing me any good, and it's junking up the yard. So it's got to go. And the old van's got to go. That old van is not worth selling. It's full of pack rats. It's disgusting. So I basically have to just clear a path out of the front of it, which will happen when the guys haul off the junk, because there's a few pieces of stuff that can also go to scrap sitting in front of it. And then maybe I can get the junkyard to come out and just get that, just the van, and they'll probably take that okay. It'd be more worth their time. It'd be easy to load. They can just winch it onto their trailer or whatever and haul it over for scrap. So I'm sure they get more bang for their buck out of vehicles than they do out of like air conditioner units or whatever, just by the nature of the beast, especially if it's an older vehicle with a lot of steel, and this one is. So that's kind of the last outdoor thing that I'm going to mess with. Everything else I'm going to basically leave as is, and whoever buys it, they're going to get they're going to get the greenhouse. The greenhouse has actually a propane heater installed in it. That's going to stay. Chicken coop set up, that's going to stay. Just pretty much everything else that's there, all the outbuildings, the shed. There's a lot of pluses, a lot of assets on that ground, so it's going to make somebody a good deal, even at today's prices. And I've been trying to figure out about where I think I can price it at. And I'm not 100% on it, so I'm not going to throw out a number right now, but I've got a number in my head where I think it might be, but I've got to do a little more research before I'll know. And I probably need to talk to my realtor friend and get her advice on this. I was kind of hoping that it would be one of those deals where I wouldn't have to put it on the market technically, that a family member would buy it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm kind of sad about that, because that would have cured a problem with me and the cats and stuff too, because they would have probably been okay with me just leaving the old cats there so I don't have to move them, disrupt their lives. Then again, they may not, I don't know. But I'm sure that some solution to this will appear, because it's kind of weird. Once I actually made up my mind to start actively working towards getting done here and moving back, things started happening. It's like everything sat stagnant all these months, and then just like a week after I made the absolute decision that I'm ready, I'm going back, I'm going to start working at that, then stuff started happening. I don't think it's a coincidence. I'm not sure what it is, if you want to call it a miracle or divine intervention or whatever, but I don't think it's an accident that now my intent is set, and now all these things are happening. So I consider it divine intervention. Just so you know, I don't think there's anything magical about me thinking anything. I mean, I think the good things that happen to us are usually like divine intervention, I think. So anyway, I'm just on the eastern edge of Lawton right now. We're going to cut down on Interstate 44. Take that down to Wichita Falls today. The last time, that's a cute little deal on the back of that truck. Get off my tail. With a cat butt. Oh boy. Cat people, huh? That's funny. That is funny. But the last couple of times I went down to Wichita Falls, I took the back way down through Walters. Or Walters, no. Not Walters. Sheesh, I can't even think of the name of the town now. Anyway, down 81 and then over on 70 and 79. I took that route last time. So I haven't seen this route for a couple months. I mean, there are only so many ways that I can travel down here to Wichita Falls because it's, you know, without just adding a bunch of extra miles just to see different scenery, which I've been known to do, by the way. I'm not averse to that in a lot of ways. There's a Jeep as old as mine. I'm going to have to take my Jeep hatch apart, the tailgate, the lift hatch or whatever it is on the back. I'm going to have to take the inner panel off of that and see if there's some way I can push the dent back out that I put into it, running into my niece's truck. I actually did some research into tools for pulling dents, and I ordered some, but they didn't work worth a crap, so I sent them back. I was like, these are not going to work for me, and they're not super cheap, so I thought, yeah, well, they don't have enough suction to actually stick to it and pull it. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way and figure out how to get this panel off, because I'm pretty sure that panel's been removed before. It doesn't have all its screws in it. So I'm going to try to do that and just push the dent back out. It did crack the paint a little bit. Not surprising because it's an old vehicle. And it, you know, crunched the metal pretty good. Not a horrible dent and not a huge dent, but big enough. Big enough that it's not like a hail-sized dent. It's more like a bumper-sized dent. Oh, stupid. I feel bad about that. I feel bad about backing into it. I mean, the last thing I want to do is tear up somebody else's stuff. You know, it's bad enough when you damage your own stuff and then you can feel stupid about doing that. But when, you know, you pull a really stupid stunt like that and then somebody else's stuff is involved, that makes it even worse. So I just feel so dumb. You know, it was a dumb thing to do. It just was. So get on 44 up here and head south. It's actually considered heading west, I think, on the turnpike, but it actually goes southwest. It's kind of weird. But I didn't, you know, I'm not the one who decided what to call it or how to label it. If I had been, it would have been different. I wouldn't have called it westbound. I would have called it southbound. What are we doing here, folks? It's kind of chilly out here today, but it's warming up a little. It's 50 now. It was in the 40s when I got up this morning. Not as cold as it was for the last week or so. It warmed up a little this week. But it's still, there's a nip in the air. I guess there should be. I mean, it's middle of December. So it's not too surprising. get a ticket up here because I can be real lead-footed on these fast roads. I can be distracted by thinking about something instead of watching my speedometer. So it's always better for me to just set the dang thing. Not get enough sleep last night. Kept having weird ass dreams. I hate that. It's like I don't mind having like pleasant dreams, but when I have dreams that make me wonder what the hell they mean, and then I have to think about them, it's like what? I don't like that very much. Not going to miss. I'm not going to miss the scenery between here and Wichita Falls. I guess it's okay. It's just kind of bland. You know, it's a little hilly. This time of year it's just kind of, you know, golden brown and ashy gray for the trees. Sleepy trees. I will be glad to get back into a prettier place. I mean, this can be really pretty in the summer. I mean, I love it here in the summer as far as how it looks. But it looks all green and soft and fluffy. But in reality, it's not soft and fluffy at all. It's like everything here is out to stick you, poke you, bite you, kill you, you know. It's just kind of hostile stuff. Looks all nice and green and fluffy, but stickers. One of the things I actually miss being able to do is just to walk outside barefoot. My feet are not tough enough to withstand stickers like they were when I was a kid. I could go barefoot then, kind of. I mean, it still hurt if I stepped on them, but not like now. So it'd be nice to be able to walk in the grass in the summer without, you know, getting a freaking sandburr embedded in your foot, or my foot. That is no fun. I don't like it. I don't see any redeeming quality to those dang things. You know, there's a lot of things on this earth that I don't understand why they exist. I'm sure there's a purpose for it. But I just don't understand it. Whatever it is, it doesn't make sense to me that these things would even have to exist because I don't see the upside to any of them. And sandburrs and stickers and other kinds of burrs are one of those types of things. I mean, I understand that as far as reproducing the plant, they stick to things and get carried around and dispersed. I get that. But I don't understand the purpose of them to begin with. You know, why would you, if you're gonna create something spiny and mean, and like mosquitoes? Why do mosquitoes exist? There's got to be some logical reason for it, I guess. But I don't know what it would be, unless it's just as a food source for other critters, maybe. But you would think that as a food source for other critters, they wouldn't have to be like parasitic little bloodsuckers, you know, themselves. I don't know, just certain things about the way things are, I don't understand. I don't expect to understand. I don't expect anybody to explain it to me because I don't think anybody would understand it. But it's just how it is. I mean, but those are not some of my favorite things. Surprisingly enough, do I want to run 75? I don't think so. I'm just run 70. I don't need to burn extra fuel. I'm not in a hurry. It's only 45 more miles down there, so I had a weird deal happen with the truck a while back. And I've been trying to get it fixed to where I can get my phone to sync with the Bluetooth system on the truck. I've been trying to do it every once in a while since I've had the truck. I would have a problem, it would like fall out of sync and I have to delete it and then reinstall the phone, that kind of thing. Well, I thought that was what was going on again. But for some reason it wouldn't go into the syncing mode when I used the phone button. Like there's a certain method you go through to program it, right? I would start that process, but it wouldn't go into that process. It would go to something about Bluetooth on or Bluetooth off. And then I would scroll over, it would say Bluetooth on. I would click yes, and it would say, okay, Bluetooth is on, but then next time I went back to the menu, it would say Bluetooth is off. So after like 2 weeks of this, and in my own defense, I haven't been driving this truck much, so I haven't really been messing with it that much. I've driven it a couple of times. So today I thought, well, I'm making this longer trip. I'd like to have the phone working, the sync, so I can have hands-free talk if somebody calls me. And so I started trying to troubleshoot it, sitting in the driveway, trying to figure out what was going on. And I found one video on YouTube that said, check your fuses. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that the sync system has its own separate fuse, but I'm glad it does because that made it real easy to fix. So I pulled the fuse. It was a little bitty micro fuse, 20 amp micro fuse. And I looked around. I've got a whole flipping bag full, a whole gallon Ziploc bag full of fuses at home somewhere. I looked for them. I couldn't find them. Finally, I decided I'm just going to go buy a damn fuse because I'm going to be here all day and I've got to get down to Wichita Falls today to do this. I need to do it because those guys may want to come tomorrow and load all that other stuff up back home now. So I finally decided, okay, I'm just going to go deliver my packages at the post office and then I'm going to stop and fuel up and then I'm going to stop and get a fuse. So I did that and went in, and it's kind of a funny fuse, and there's different kinds, so it took us a minute to find the right one. So found them. It's like $6 later, $6 and 5 minutes later, I come out, put it back in the fuse slot where the old fuse came out of, and it works just fine. Now, the weird thing about the fuse that I pulled out is it didn't look like it was burnt internally. It looked like it was intact, but the little legs on it were black. So I handed it to the guy. I said, I think this is toasted. Because, he says, yeah. He says, that's weird. But he said, they can fail in a lot of ways. So I'm like, well, I think that one's pretty failed, pretty toasted. So we got the right kind, found the right fuse. So I come out of the auto parts store, and I went over to that side of the truck. It's over on the floorboard, down under the dash on the passenger side. Oh, this road is so rough. Every time I come down here, I hate it that I came this way because I forget how rough this part is until I'm on it again. And I'm always saying, I'll never run that road again. It's so rough. Famous last words. So anyway, I came out and replaced the fuse. And got back in on this side and just started initiating the sync setup for the phone. And my gosh, it worked. Guy, you need to get your ass over just a little bit. You're like hanging over that center line there. no idea where he's at. Spatial awareness retardation, I think is what that was. He's way too on the center line. I mean, he's running on it and a little over it. In fact, he's kind of weaving around a little bit. Whether he's just on his phone or something. So anyway, got it working, got it reestablished, got the sync reestablished. So I'm really happy about that now, because now I can actually hear and make calls and listen to the radio listen to my music through the radio instead of listening to it on my phone. So that's a good thing. This got a nice stereo system in it. I mean, the speakers are good. Sounds good. I'm glad that's resolved. It's always something though, you know? It just really is. Always something. And these days, you know, obviously I don't have Bill here to ask. I just assumed that he knew everything, because he said he did pretty much. And usually if I asked him something, he could give me an answer, you know. It was very rarely that he would say, gee, I don't know, let's you know, look it up. Very rarely. Once in a blue moon, maybe. Gosh, this road is rough. For a road that you pay $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 to drive on for 40 miles, you'd think they could keep it in a little bit better repair. But they really have let it go in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years. They have not been taking care of these turnpikes the way they should have for all the money they're making on them. I'm suspicious about where that money has all gone. I guess I'm not the only one, because I think they're actually auditing the Turnpike Authority. Yeah. There's some shady stuff apparently that has been going on. Not too surprisingly, I mean, to me. I'm suspicious of by nature anyhow, so I don't know what to tell you. I found a picture this morning. I don't know, kind of nostalgic about it. It was a picture of me in uniform. And it was a cold morning. I was just getting off the night shift, I think. And one of the captains was getting pictures of everybody. I think they were doing something like considering having like, you know how like a baseball team has cards, collector cards with the people on the team. They were thinking about doing something similar to that for DARE or something, some kind of a deal where they wanted everybody's picture put on a card, I guess, to trading cards for kids. And I don't think that they ever actually followed through and did that. This one picture, it's one of the few pictures of me actually in uniform. I don't have a whole lot of them. I was busy working. I wasn't standing around getting my picture taken much. And just, I don't know, just very nostalgic for me to see. But a couple of things about it kind of surprised me. And one of them was, I was just telling my nephew last night about the sweater that I had a couple of sweaters customized for me for wearing in the winter up there as my winter uniform. And I talked to the chief about this. I got the okay for it. So we were allowed to wear like a dark blue sweater or things like that in the winter. They couldn't find a coat for me to match everybody else's uniform coats that had sleeves long enough. They just didn't make them. And uniforms at that time, I don't know if it's any different now, but at that time, most uniforms were made for men, made to fit men. So it was really difficult for me to find tops that were not gigantically huge, but that had sleeves long enough. I had the same problem with long sleeve shirts. I had to have them tailored. So had the uniform shirts, I had to have them taken in. But the necks were always too big, because I mean, the smallest neck you can get on a man's shirt is still pretty big for, a woman. But I was trying to describe this sweater to him last night, and I realized, looking at the picture this morning, I had completely forgotten actually what it was like. I described it differently than it actually is, and it's kind of funny, think about the things that we think we remember accurately that we don't. It's not like a big deal, but the finer details get lost in time. And like there were just little details, like I thought that the sweater had like a little placket on it to pin my badge on. It didn't. I had like a badge patch on it. I didn't wear my badge on the sweater, which I had no idea. I thought I wore a badge on it. And then on the other side, I thought it had like a name label. It didn't. It was just embroidered on it. And of course, I had the sleeve patches and everything. So it was kind of weird looking at the things that were different than I had remembered them being. And it's not like this was 100 years ago. It was, 16, 17 years ago. So I was like, what other things don't I remember correctly? That's, it makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder. How many things do I believe to be absolutely true that are absolutely untrue? And how does this happen with your memory when you've got supposedly a healthy brain? It's kind of a weird thing. It's a strange kind of experience. To just, like immediately be told, well, no, that's not how you remember it. How you remember it's wrong. Very weird. Very strange. So I'm probably going to do a two-part. I'm going to split this video into two parts, basically. So what I'll do is I'll do one for on the way down to Wichita Falls, and then I'll split it out and do another one going back. That way it won't just be like a 4-hour video. And I can pare those down, each side of it I can pare them down some. Probably totally something that very few people care about. Yeah. I'm not sure what it takes to actually become relatively popular on YouTube. I can imagine it takes a combination of probably being good looking doesn't hurt, which, my looks are gone, so I can't check that box. But being real clever probably doesn't hurt, and I'm not particularly clever. I'm a smart ass, but I'm not a super clever smart ass. And then I would imagine having really good scenery in my videos would probably help quite a bit. But I've got mediocre, unspectacular scenery, so I guess it's no wonder that my channels just don't take off and go viral. And then my projects, I don't know. I'm learning as I go along. So when I do a project, I'm fully aware that my videography sucks. So I'm sure that's another strike against me. So I've come to the decision that I'm just going to keep making videos for me the way I like to make them, because I enjoy making them, because they're never gonna, I don't believe, take off or be popular or even get me to the point where I'm monetized at all. I don't seem to be on that track. And I've been making videos for a long time now, for several years. And I see these YouTube videos, people going, well, I got monetized in 30 days. And I'm thinking, either you're lying or you're doing something with AI or something. I don't know. I'm not sure I believe that. I don't know if you can be monetized in 30 days unless you're already famous. Or I guess maybe some people can if they come across something that's just irresistible to people to click on. You know, I don't seem to have that irresistibility factor. just to cry a little bit about it. Boo-hoo. But I'm going to keep making videos because I like making videos. So, and I'll probably continue doing it when I move too. So I'll have good scenery then. Of course, I'll be stepping on my brother's turf up there if I start doing driving videos up in that part of the world, because that's where he does his driving videos. But I could probably like do different places that he doesn't want to or doesn't have a reason to go do. Something like that. I'm sure I can work something out with him so I'm not poaching on his potential, scenery tours. I don't want to do that to him. I don't think that'd be very nice. He's actually been making videos a lot longer than I have. And he does great videos. If you haven't watched his stuff, go watch it at Backroads of Colorado. And then he's got another channel, Old Town, where he does projects, like builds guitars and casts aluminum things, all kinds of cool stuff. Works on steam engines. So he's got a couple of great channels. I've got them both linked. You'll find them. Links to them. But I don't want to start poaching on his territory. Not like I'm going to steal away any business from him probably, but still, just be polite about it. He's my brother. I don't want to make him mad. I'd rather stay on his good side. And I'm sure he'd probably rather stay on my good side too. Kind of a mutual thing. It's mutually beneficial for us to get along. And we do. I don't understand people who don't get along with their siblings unless their siblings are just a complete jerk. And there are a few of those out there. So I understand that. I understand not wanting to associate with people who are complete jerks, but the people who have just kind of like normal siblings but they just don't get along or whatever, I don't understand that. Nobody else in the world knows you, has the same experience growing up, knows all the same people. Nobody else in the world has that connection to you besides your siblings. I guess the exception to that is siblings where there's a lot of age difference between them. Like in Bill's family, his oldest siblings were old enough to be his parents. I mean, there was a lot of years of difference. They were grown up and gone before he was even thought of. So in that situation, I can see not having a closeness there, maybe not having that common experience. But for people who grew up together, siblings who grew up together, same house, similar, same experience basically, I just don't understand the estrangements that happen. It's kind of weird. But then again, people are kind of weird. People can be pretty persnickety and pretty finicky about stuff. So, I don't know. funny because our Love's in Marlow has the best diesel price around. Oh, this road. My God. We've got 2 little Love's stores in Marlow, and they've got the best diesel price around right now. And it's even better than everybody else because of the little discount you can get if you have their app on your phone. So right now they're running the cheapest rate. Everybody's trying to match them. But when I pull in and buy diesel there, I get it for 15 cents less than what's on the sign on the club. And that's just the local Loves. But out here on the interstate, on the turnpike, Love's bought out evidently the contract for concessions and fuel on the turnpike, and they charge like anywhere from 50 cents to $1 higher than the little local Love's stores do in the small towns. It's just kind of weird. So it makes me wonder if some of these Loves are independent owners now. I think the guy that started Love's died a year or 2 ago. And I think they sold out many years ago. So I'm just wondering how many of these are independents who like function to be competitive in these little towns that they've been in forever. And how many of these are like some kind of corporate giant owned by the same people who have like, you know, the big truck stops. Probably it's the same conglomerate that owns all of them now. And that they just gouge the hell out of truckers and people on the interstates for fuel prices. That's just kind of interesting to me. And it's one of the reasons I don't typically, if I've got to travel anywhere, I don't like traveling on the interstate. I'd rather travel on, you know, slower roads and get better prices on fuel and not have the congestion and the aggravation of dealing with interstate traffic, especially in certain corridors. I mean, this isn't bad down here. This is pretty lightly used. But say Interstate 40 is a heavy truck route, obviously, and it's heavily used, and it's a nightmare to drive on anymore. I-25, I-35, I-45 down in Texas, all of these roads are in I-30, you know, going across Arkansas. They're terrible roads to try and drive on. So not only are they like stuck up here driving on these god-awful, crowded, busy, truck-heavy roads, they're getting gouged on for fuel prices by the people who have contracts to have fuel. It's like, I don't know. I just don't like it, you know. Some people won't travel except on the interstates wherever they can because of the time factor. And I get that if you're doing a time-sensitive job or you have a time-sensitive situation where you got to get point A to point B the fastest possible way, then interstates are useful. I mean, that's what they were intended for. And that's the purpose they serve. I'm just not, even when I was hauling trailers, I wasn't in that much of a hurry because there was no such thing as an emergency trailer delivery, you know? The closest thing to an emergency I would have is trying to get there before they closed on a Friday or something. You know, if they were going to be closed all weekend, I would want to get in there and get it delivered before they closed for the weekend so I didn't have to sit all weekend waiting for them to open. Other than that, there wasn't really anything that urgent about delivering trailers. Now, the hot shot stuff was a little different. That was all urgent. So that was just all, you know, just run as fast as you can, fast as the law allows, and as long as the law allows, and get that stuff delivered. So it was a little more stressful and a lot more time critical. Yeah, I don't miss hot shotting because of the pressure of it, because of the stress. I do kind of miss hauling trailers, but what I miss most of all of that is I miss having a flatbed on the back of my truck. I've got a regular truck bed on this truck, and I just don't like it. I do not like it. It's annoying. This truck sits up so high that it makes getting in and out of the truck bed. If I got to get in there to get in the toolbox or something, it's a big climb to get up there to it. It's a real pain in the butt. It's hard to deal with. I would much rather have, and I may eventually, if I can find one that's not $4,000 or $5,000, which seems to be going right on them right now. It's crazy. I'd kind of like to have a flatbed for this. I'm going to go ahead and slow down here. There's a curve coming up. I'd much rather have a flatbed on it. The only thing about it is that it's not a dually. It's a single rear wheel truck. It's a 3/4 ton. So it looks kind of funny to me. Flatbeds look a little funny on single rear wheel trucks. They just look a little light in the backside. Because I'm used to seeing dualies. I mean, all my trucks that had flatbeds on them have been dualies. But I could have kept my dually and sold this truck back when I made the decision to sell the Dodge. And the Dodge was a newer truck. It had a little bit more mileage on it, but it was also a dually. And I decided I didn't want to deal with replacing the extra 2 tires every time I had to buy tires. I mean, if you have a dually, you're buying 6 tires instead of 4 if you replace everything. And dualies are susceptible to tire damage if something gets up and gets wedged in between those dualies, and I've had it happen to me. There was a time down in Texas I got a rock out of a parking lot by Starbucks wedged up between my dualies, and I was very fortunate that I noticed it right down the road, because I went from Starbucks down to the fuel stop and fueled up, and I was doing my walk around looking at things while it was fueling, and lo and behold, the rock was in there, and then I had to figure out a way to get it loose. So what I ended up doing was using a strap and winching it loose with the ratchet. I didn't want to stick anything sharp in there and end up puncturing the tire. So that was the best thing I could think of, and it worked, but it took me about 20 minutes to do it, 15 or 20 minutes to figure out how to do it and to get it out of there. So that time what didn't turn out so bad, but then another time, luckily I was home when this one happened. We were working out at the lake house, and I pulled up in the yard, and somehow a piece of brick got in between the dualies, and it actually, I didn't know it was in there, and I headed for town to get something, and it popped one of the dualies and punctured it. So I had to go buy a new tire. It was like $400. I was like, dang. So I decided, instead of keeping the Dodge, which was a newer vehicle, and I liked that truck. I mean, it was a lot of truck. It was way too much truck for what I needed, but that was a big deciding factor in which truck to keep going forward, because it had basically the same cab setup. It was a super cab, had 2 full seats and all that. Had plenty of space. But that was one of the big deciding factors. That, and this Ford has never given me much trouble either. And the Dodge did have a couple of issues that I didn't want to have to deal with anymore. So, but I mean, everything's give or take. There's pluses and minuses to everything. But this one just checked more pro boxes than con boxes, and that was a big deciding factor, not having to buy 6 tires every time I put new boots on it. That's a pain. That's a lot of money. Okay, buddy, have a little patience here. Get around this guy. Got a guy back here crawling up my butt. He's in a hurry, I guess. There he goes. I do not like those vans for some reason. Just the shape of them, big square vans. It's like, they look so unaerodynamic. I can remember when the whole deal was to make things more aerodynamic and increase fuel mileage, and And then they came out with this stupid looking vehicle called the Cube. It's like, I don't get it. Do not get it. It's a mystery to me. I don't know if I'm just not particularly very bright or what, but there's a lot of stuff in this world that's just a mystery to me. A lot. Way more than it should be, I think. Maybe that says more about my cognitive function than the world. I don't know. Probably. And we're getting into Wichita Falls here. Getting close to it anyway, not quite. You know, if my family was in this area, I would stay here. And if I could talk them all into moving to Texas, that would even be better. I actually like Texas better than Oklahoma. Don't tell my in-laws I said that. They disown me. But I actually like Wichita Falls. If I had to live in a city, you know, a technical city, if I had to, I would willingly do it anyway. But if I was required to, I would pick Wichita Falls. Not because it's perfect or because it's, you know, super low crime or anything, just because it seems like everybody here that I've ever dealt with has been super nice, you know. I haven't had any run-ins with jerks in Wichita Falls at all. And the other thing about Wichita Falls is traffic here is incredibly non-existent. Like, it's incredibly light. Even heavy traffic here isn't bad. It's not like, you know, Dallas or Oklahoma City even. It's just, and they've got a good freeway system. I think the difference between Wichita Falls and the other cities is Wichita Falls has a more adequate road system than they need per capita. And somebody must have been like planning on growth here, like really cleverly, smartly planning for future growth in this town so that they wouldn't just put in a highway system and then overload it right away and outgrow it real soon. Because I've never been in a traffic jam in Wichita Falls. I've never even seen a traffic jam down here. Now occasionally there are little clusters of semi-heavy traffic as you're going through, but it's not like, I've never seen anything jam up or be stop and go. And I'm sure it happens once in a while if there's a wreck or something, but just in general, you know, the times I've been through here, and I hauled through here a lot. I used to pick up trailers here and deliver them here and go through here on my way out to Lubbock and stuff. I just never really saw anything that wasn't, you know, just pretty much wide open road. So, I don't know. Those two things, you know, nice people and decent traffic, that's worth something. To me, anyway. The other thing about Wichita Falls is they have a very active police force doing a lot of traffic control. Come on, gotta get around me so I can get over. So, smart people don't speed through Wichita Falls. For what that's worth. just bragging on their traffic here not being bad. This isn't bad though. I mean, just a little. Some people are a little confused here, it looks like. This guy in front of me looks a little confused. The other thing about Wichita Falls is it's not very difficult to learn your way around here. It's not that big of a town. It's technically a city, yeah. I don't know what their population is here. Probably somewhere around 100,000 or more. So it's not like, you know, gigantic millions of people or anything. I think that church back there is really weird that they built the freeway almost right up to the building. They've still got some leaves on down here and some color. Wow. They must be about a month behind us for freezing, which is weird because it's only like 70 miles southwest of me. It's kind of pretty, the fall colors here. It's nice. I just like coming down here. That's one of the reasons I don't mind coming down here every month is because I like this area. You know, I just do. I'm a fan of Texas, put it that way. I like the place. I got some weird guy back here doing some squirrely shit behind me in a little red car. That guy's doing some squirrely shit too. Try, I guess, as long as they don't run into me. They can be as squirrely as they want to. got this all jacked up down here. It's interesting. Dang. Okay, that's sketchy. Sketchy at best. sketchy road there. Out writing tickets. That's why I don't speed through Wichita Falls. They like writing tickets. Okay, so I'm going to end this episode right here, and I'll pick this back up for the trip back home. So I'll see you in a bit. Thanks for watching.